Hello everyone and welcome to Butterfly Dreams Crochet. My name is Jeannie and today is Tuesday, May the 11th, 2021. As you can tell by the thumbnail, this is the Pound ABC Anti-Bullying campaign that was started by Lisa from Ladybird Loves and Squishy from Say It With Squishy Yarn Crochet. So, what is the definition of bullying? This is not my own definition of bullying because I do have my own definition of bullying. But this is the Wikipedia definition of bullying, and it says, the Wikipedia definition of bullying is the use of force, coercion, or threat to abuse, aggressively dominate, or intimidate. So that is the Wikipedia's definition of bullying. Again, that is the Wikipedia definition of bullying is the use of force, coercion, or threat to abuse, aggressively dominate, or intimidate. I have this one story that's not my own that when I was asked to do this campaign that automatically went to my mind. December 2018, I got home from work and I was watching the news. And it was all over social media and everywhere. Where this 9-year-old girl in Birmingham, Alabama, hung herself because of bullying. This little girl had dreams, she had goals, she had ambition, and everything. But because, I'm going to tell you what the article says. She wanted to be a scientist when she grew up. She excelled in math. She liked riding her bike, playing with dolls and PlayStation 4, and recording goofy home videos with her cousins. But instead of making plans, they were preparing to bury her for Christmas. They had to plan a funeral. This child was being bullied at school. She had reported this to her teacher and her principal. And it was racially motivated. Because she was driven to school each day by a white family and had become friends with a little white boy. The children in her school, mind you, she was only 9 years old, y'all. Let me say this. As parents, we have to do better. Children are not born racist. Racism is taught. For a 9-year-old to be bullied because she had become friends with a white boy and she was driven to school by a white family, that is sad. Sad, sad, sad. We know we have different types of bullying. We have cyberbullying. We have verbal. We have physical. We have psychological or mental. We have abusive bullying. So, racism. This little child took her own life because she was a victim of bullying due to racism. Sad. Sad, sad. And she was a beautiful little girl. I will leave in the description box down below all of the links to the website for the state of Alabama for the anti-bullying, the hotline for the bullying crisis, anti-bullying crisis hotline, as well as the suicide prevention hotline. And I can relate to some extent that story of being bullied due to racism. I have an uncle that is 66 years old. No, he may be older than that. Hold on a minute. Yes, he is 66 years old. Had to do math, y'all. He is 8 years younger than my father, which is his brother. My uncle is mixed. I have heard him being called a boy. I have heard him be called dumb, ignorant, stupid, illiterate, half-breed, zebra, Oreo, two-toned. You name it, he was called it. And it always hurt him. This will be emotional, y'all. As a child, I didn't really understand. But I knew he was hurt. So I was hurt. I love my uncle. There's not anything in this world I would not do for him. He was not afforded. I'm not going to say he wasn't afforded. He was not allowed to go to school because schools were segregated. The same segregated school that my father graduated from is the same school that we graduated from. Although it wasn't segregated then when we went, but my father graduated from that segregated school. My uncle's children have graduated from that same school that he was not allowed to go to. And he has grandchildren that are attending that very same school. So to hear someone call him an illiterate, that means that they don't have the ability to read or write. That's a bully. When I was in the 4th grade, people, as far as I can remember, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, people used to tell me all the time, oh, you're the girl that has the black uncle, or you're the girl that has the N for an uncle, or you this or you that. You can't be part of this because you have an uncle that's black, or you just trash and you nasty. And they would talk about my grandmother and this and that and everything else. And when I got to the 4th grade, my social studies teacher, Miss Howard, she was an African American lady, because she heard some of the things that the kids had said to me, and she would address the issue with them. She pulled me to the side one day after class, and she said, Jeannie, I hear some of the things the kids have been saying to you. She said, is Roger Dale your uncle? Mind you, we had the same last name. I said, yes, ma'am. That's my uncle. And she said, well, he's been coming to my night classes. We didn't have a clue. To learn how to read and write his name. And he kept talking about you all the time, and I kept trying to put two and two together. And she said, I even said, surely that's not her uncle. And I said, yes, ma'am, that's my uncle. She said, well, I have some papers that I want you to take home with you to work with him and help him. I said, yes, ma'am. So she gave me the papers, and I went home. When he came home from work, I told him. And he said, you gonna help me? I said, of course I'm gonna help you. I did manage to teach him how to recognize certain words. And I taught him how to print his name. And I taught him how to count money. To be able to put someone down because of the way they look, that's bullying, y'all. It's sad that my uncle had to go through that. And it's sad that I had to go through it because of him. Racism, again, you're not born with it. You are taught to be a racist at home. And I'm sorry. Just because I look the way I look, I'm not any better than anyone that looks different than me, regardless of your race. I'm not any better. I'm a human. I was created with the image of God. I was thought of before I was ever conceived by God. God chose my parents, not me. I'm a product of God. And what does the Bible say? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever so shall perish shall have eternal life. He didn't say for all of the white people or all the people of a certain race, I give you my beloved Son. I sacrifice my one and only Son. He didn't say that. It says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever shall perish shall have eternal life. So why? Why can you look at my uncle and call him a half-breed, a Oreo, two-tone, a zebra? Why can you look at him and tell him he's dumb, he's ignorant, and he's an illiterate when it was you that did not afford him an education? Why? Because you're a bully. Because you was taught to hate others because of the way they look. And because you was taught that it's okay to say those kind of things to other people that does not look like you. That is why. Again, racism is not born into you. Racism is taught. A child is not born knowing the colors of this world. They are taught colors. So we as parents, we have to do better. Because if you have a son or daughter that is bullying others, you need to look at how you're raising your children. I might step on some of y'all's toes, but I quite frankly don't care. Because it starts at home and goes abroad. Children that bully others are often being bullied themselves. And if it's you as parents that are not bullying your own children, then maybe you need to take a closer look at the company that your children keep. Because bullying has to stop. There's no sense in this 9-year-old child taking her own life. Because the parents of the children that was bullying her raised them to hate others that did not look like them. And even instilled it into them that it is okay to utter such words out of their mouth at such a young age. Apologize for raising my voice, y'all, but this really touches home with me. My children are mixed. They are biracial. They are African American and Caucasian. They too have experienced the same thing that my uncle had to experience, that I had to experience growing up as a child. Because of ignorance. Because of stupidness. Because of the way that child was groomed. The way that child was raised. The way that child was taught. Whether you as a parent taught it to them directly or they simply learned from your actions. That is where it come from. Just like I used to tell parents all the time. When you send a child to school for an education, the education does not stop when they leave that school. Everything starts within the home and goes abroad. How that child behaves, how that child acts, how that child is disciplined, how that child had the mannerism that child displays. All that starts at home. If you don't demand respect and everything at home, you cannot fault your child for not giving it when they get out there in the world. I remember as a child, I was sitting in the buggy. We was inside, my grandmother, Papa, and I was inside Macklemore grocery store in Louisiana. My grandparents didn't meet a stranger, and I don't meet one today. And this lady came up and she said, "Oh, you're so cute." I said, "Thank you." And she said something else, and I said, "Yes." I did not say yes, ma'am. All I said was yes. My grandmother backhanded me and hit me dead in my mouth. And I looked at my grandma and said, "Grandma," I was crying. Not so much that it hurt, but for the fact that she did it. "Hey, Grandma, why you hit me in my mouth?" She said, "Because your butt didn't say it. Your mouth did. Why would I want to hit your tail when your mouth is the one who said yes and not yes, ma'am?" From that day forward, everything was yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. And I was taught and raised that if you are older than me, you are addressed by yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. You could be a year or 2 years older than me. I'm going to address you as yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. That's how I was raised. My uncle's children used to come to my grandmother's. People used to talk about it. How can she let them come down there? And how can my mom and daddy allow me to play with them and this and that? Guess what? If I needed a kidney transplant, one of them might be a donor. If I need a blood transfusion, one of them might be a match. If I go into the hospital and I had to have a blood transfusion, do you think I'm going to ask the nurse or the doctor, hey, is this from a white person or is this from a African American person? Is this from a Hispanic person? Is this from an Asian person? I got to have my blood from somebody Caucasian. You can't put their blood in me. No. I don't care where it comes from. As long as it's going to do what it's supposed to do and potentially save my life, give it to me. You think I'm going to turn down a kidney if my first cousin that looks just like an African American person and you would never know that his daddy was half white and half black? You think I'm going to turn down his kidney and he's willing to donate it to me? No, ma'am. I will not. Yes, I played with my cousins growing up. Yes, I talk to my cousins still to this day. We used to go to their house, me, my grandma, and granddaddy. Them was my grandmother's grandchildren, and those were my cousins. And I didn't see them any different than all of my other cousins that my aunt had. Didn't see them as any different at all. But my grandmother got talked about. My grandfather got talked about. They used to tell my granddad, they used to say, Daddy was stupid for staying with her. I would have left her. But he stayed. He's got to be a good man because he stayed and took care of a child that ain't even none of his. And then he's black on top of that. If you don't know the story, keep your mouth shut. But the most hurtful thing about it all to me with my uncle was when my grandmother passed and my grandfather followed. He did not even want to attend their funeral because he didn't want to cause any problems for my daddy. He didn't want people talking. He came to the wake, the viewing. And him and his family sit off by themselves. I joined them. I wanted him to know that he wasn't alone. That it didn't matter what anybody had to say. It didn't matter. And I told him I expected to see him at that funeral. And if anybody had anything to say, that I would deal with them. That was his mother, not theirs. And then with the only man that he knew as a father who loved him as his son, whose last name he carried, passed. Same thing. All because of what he had been done, how he had been done growing up, and how he had been bullied. And it's funny because people who are bullied, who survive being bullied, often think of other people's feelings before they think of their own. Now I'll remind you, when my grandfather passed away, everybody pulled together and paid for his funeral. And that's where I heard how such of a good man he was. How he stayed with my grandmother and raised him as his own. But when my grandmother passed, because she had a child of another race, she wasn't worthy of their money. But that's okay, because she had the best funeral that there ever could be. I made sure of that. I paid for her funeral. I told my mom and them I don't want nothing that they got. Nothing. I will take care of everything. And I did. Why do people do that? So y'all, please stop teaching your children to hate others because they're different. Because when you look at someone and tell them that they're a half-breed, that they are Oreos, that they are zebras, that they are two-toned because of the way they look, you are bullying them. And always remember that every one of us is created in the image of God. So we are the way He wanted us to be. We don't all look the same. We don't all talk alike. We do not all think alike. We all live different lives from one another. But guess what? Each and every one of us was created in the image of God. So please, if you know of anyone that is being bullied, seek help for them. I will have all the information that you can reach out to in the state of Alabama. I will have the suicide prevention hotline down below. And if you know of anyone, let me touch bases on suicide for a minute. This is the nurse coming out in me. If you know of anyone who verbally says that they're going to commit suicide, please talk to that person. Do not ignore them. Do not think that they will not do it. Oh, this person has said this before and they've never gone through with it. This, that, and that. There's things that you need to do. If someone come up to me, it could be a random person that I don't even know, and they say, hey, I'm fixing to go jump off the Edmund Pettus Bridge and jump in the river and commit suicide. I'm going to say, hey, hold on, wait a minute. Come back. I'm not going to ask them why. I'm going to say, do you have a plan? And if they say yes, I'm going to say, okay, well, tell me how you're going to do it. How do you plan on doing it? If they can sit there and tell me step by step what they're going to do, 9 times out of 10, that person's going to go get on that Edmund Pettus Bridge and jump in the river and commit suicide. If a person tells you that they're going to commit suicide and they do not have a plan, then 9 times out of 10, they may not commit suicide. But you still need to alert the local authorities, or you need to get them in contact with someone at the suicide prevention hotline that can help them. If a person tells you they're going to commit suicide and they can tell you they have a plan, they can give you all the details of their plan, that means that person has seriously considered suicide and they have gone as far as to write out how they will execute that plan. They are more likely to commit suicide. You can do several things. You can reach out to them to try and help them. You can call the suicide prevention hotline for them. You can also contact your local police department and report it. You can also try to convince them to go to the local hospital, where if anyone threatens suicide and they have an active plan, they can tell you their plan. It's an automatic 72-hour hold on a psychological floor for evaluation. So there are ways that people can get help. There's people on YouTube that try to bully us all the time. Cyberbullying is real, y'all. It's real. And if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say nothing at all. Just keep your mouth closed. And always be kind to one another. I really hope y'all enjoy this. But yes, I knew this was going to be an emotional one. I knew when I was asked months ago to be part of this, I automatically knew what I was going to talk about. Because I think not all of us have a story to tell about being bullied. But there's only two kind of people when it comes to bullying. You've either been bullied or you are a bully yourself. So I hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope I have reached out and touched someone. And I don't try to change the world. If I change just one person's mindset, if I just change one person's outlook on life, if I just change one person's view of others, I've done my job. So again, I thank y'all. Sorry about that. I'm still at the office and it's a spam caller calling. But again, thank y'all for allowing me to be part of this. And I went through everybody's names on here, and there's quite a few that have not been tagged yet according to Facebook. So I will be tagging Miss Linda at Linda Simpson. You're the next one to do it for me. I will leave that link, her link down below. I will leave Lisa with Ladybird Loves link down below, Squishy's link. I will leave the playlist link down below, the Alabama National Hotline for bullying, the Suicide National Prevention Hotline, also the hotline for Alabama Suicide Prevention. And please, if you are a victim of bullying, please reach out to someone because there is help out there. I do not like reading where people have committed suicide because of them being bullied, especially if it is a child. It is sad, sad, sad. So I will talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good day. Good night. I will be going live tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time, which this probably will not get uploaded until after my live. So, but every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, I go live. So, I will see y'all then. Y'all have a good night. Bye-bye.